Hello and welcome to the Chocobo Radio podcast. This is episode 3. We're here with the Lore Master,
Mm.
Sonic
Hey,
Tribe,
The one and
and
only.
the one and only man, which I'm super excited for because I, bro, like especially like a few months ago, I was just binge watching all his stuff, like everything. So when Paco said like, "Oh, we will have him on the pod," I'm like, "Word for real?"
I was shocked you said yes, which I think that is my first question. Mr. Lore Master, what are you doing on this rinky dink podcast?
Don't call it that. Can't read Nick no more. I mean,
oh
We are
man,
legit now. We are legit. Thank you. Thank you.
no, like there's nothing like wrong. I say with just like accepting wanting to talk to people about all
Mhm.
sorts of things because, like, think about it this way. In my opinion, less than 2 years ago, my channel I think only had like a few hundred subscribers or something.
Right.
Mhm.
And so in my mind, I haven't really become that big yet. So
Mm.
I would never see myself as above spending time with fellow like either lore enthusiasts or just gaming nerds like
Mhm.
yourselves
I respect
because
that.
Thank you.
I like because like you said you're the people I make this content for in the first place. It would be weird of me to
Yeah.
suddenly say no, you peasants. Goodness.
Yeah, I do want to thank you for making such long videos. Mainly because I might be this might just be something that I do, but I when I am driving, I while I do like to listen to music, sometimes I'll just put on like a podcast or a video where somebody's just talking through it, and that is
Yeah.
how I came across your video. Um, and I do want to thank you for that because I drive a lot for my job. So
Oh, really?
having Final Fantasy content that I could just listen to on my 2 hour drive is just it just makes it go so quicker.
2 hours every day?
Well, not every day, but every once in a while I'll have to make a drive, across the city, and I just put on one of your videos and it just makes it
Yeah.
go by.
Yeah, I drive for work, so that's exactly what I was doing too.
Oh
Yeah.
man, I've heard that a lot actually. People say like they put me on their cars or they'll do it for lunch, and a lot of people have actually come up to me and said, "I love listening to your videos right before I fall asleep."
Oh no.
And they're like, "Your
Yeah.
voice is so relaxing. I'm
It's
able
pretty
to
soothing.
fall asleep to the sound of your voice." I'm like, "Thanks."
It's like I don't know how I feel about that, but I mean,
Yeah,
whatever
exactly.
works.
It's like it's the thing of like I'm glad that my voice isn't so like grating that it's hard to listen to, but on the other hand, am I putting you to sleep? And of course they always say no, 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 you're just very soothing.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah, like it just flows like smooth like butter. That's what it is. Like
I think where I want to start today is by talking about the video that you made called so I made Final Fantasy 14 lore videos for an entire year. And the reason why I wanted to start there was because I like I said, like I was listening to that on my way home, and I was shocked at how raw it felt, how personal you were getting with your thoughts on content creation. So I think my first question really was that more of a spur of the moment idea? Was this something that you scripted for a couple of weeks? Like how did that video come together?
That was a very spur of the moment
Mm.
idea.
Mhm.
And the reason is that it was late at night and I just so happened to see that the date, and I was like, oh, a little more than a year.
Mhm.
Huh. And here's the thing, I'm not a huge celebratory guy.
Mhm.
Like when my birthday rolls around, I'm like, psh, whatever, just another day. Who cares? So when the first like official year of me taking my channel seriously rolled past, I'm like, you know what? While I didn't have anything planned, why not just talk about my experience in the process of getting from there to here for anyone else who might be interested in hearing about that.
Yeah.
And like you said, that was a mask off video. It was just me wanting to be real with everyone, just tell them my experiences.
Okay. So in the video you brought up ffxiv. Who are some of your YouTube inspirations?
Oh, so many good lore channels on YouTube to serve as inspiration.
Yeah.
Like, I could spend all day talking about the different channels and why I like all of them. It's just like ffxiv, Fudge Muppet, My Name is Vive. Those are like some of the biggest ones people have heard of
Okay.
and know about.
Yeah.
But there are others like Wolf Lord Row. He does good Warhammer 40k content. And like there are some other good ones too, but yeah, I could go on.
Yeah. Here's a question I have for you. Because I remember when I was watching one of your videos, I kept because I like ffxiv as well, and I think when this might be a silly question, but the ffxiv of Final Fantasy 14, would that title be something that would irk you? Is that something that you would like? How would you feel about that?
The ffxiv of 14, that would feel I'd be honored and also personally underwhelmed at the same time.
Yeah.
Kind of just like, oh crap, I am not at his level yet. No way.
Right.
Well, listen, in my opinion, like you just said, you're not big, but in my opinion, you're well on your way. Like the way you do your videos is really good. Just keep doing it, bro. I'm just trying to figure out how you learn all this stuff because it's like, how did I miss how did I miss this stuff?
yeah. That is a very good question. When you put together a lore video, like, are you just Googling stuff? Are you are you taking notes as you're doing MSQ? Like what is your what does that look like?
I'll explain my process. So when it comes to researching for a lore video, like of course, first I got to choose a topic and I'll ask myself, okay, how much time is this going to take? Because doing a video on like a city-state takes a lot of time and research when compared to doing like a dungeon, for example. That's cut and dry, super easy, bing, bang, boom, there it is. So the type of video determines how much time it takes, but when it comes to the actual research portion, there are only 3 places I go to for lore. The game itself, official publications, i.e. Encyclopedia Eorzea Volumes 1 and 2, with a third on the way. Yoshi P, you better give me one. And the last source is the official Final Fantasy 14, i.e. Square Enix website, where they have released short stories. And those are official short stories for the world of Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah.
So, but that's where it ends. I do not go any further than... I don't go to Wikipedia. I don't Google anything. I just stick to the official source material as closely as I can.
Yeah, because misinformation and whatnot.
Misinformation all the time, and I've been informed that a few wiki pages have been changed because of me.
Wow! Look at the point you have.
Look at you putting the right information.
that was not the intention, but yeah, they're just like, so when the information on this character was changed after your video was uploaded, and I'm like, cool.
Does it what does that fact checking process look like for you? Is it scary to put out a video and think you may have gotten something wrong? Like how much of that is in your mind when you upload a video?
Well, we're only human, and at the end of the day, I know I'm going to make a mistake somewhere.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not the one who wrote the thing. I'm just trying to provide what I've been given as best as possible. And so I've given myself, I guess you would call it wiggle room. I tell myself I'm aiming for 90 to 95% accuracy.
Okay.
So, like, that 5 to 10% inaccuracy is either the writers changing their mind or failing to elaborate, or, as you said, sometimes there are things that I might just overlook. And there have been, I think, on 2 separate occasions, I've uploaded a video, something was brought to my attention, I brought it down, fixed it, and then re-uploaded.
Oh.
Oh, okay. That takes a lot.
Yeah.
Are you I don't know if you have you played other Final Fantasies other than 14?
Oh, like almost all of them.
Are you
Definitely all
familiar?
the main titles.
Are you familiar with the YouTube series, the retrospective of like Final Fantasy 13 or whatever? Have you
Yes,
seen that one?
I am. I am familiar with that one.
So I remember him saying in the video that really was like, I think it was in his not versus 13. It was Type Zero video when he was saying that like he really has to make sure that he has everything down because like once he uploads it, because it's like an hour long video. Once he uploads it, it's kind of hard for him to kind of like fix it. So he has to make sure he covers all his ground. So the reason why I brought that up is because it's like the type of videos you're doing. It's like it's a lot of respect that goes into that because it's like you have to make sure it's accurate because people like to correct people all the time on YouTube.
Yeah.
So it's like that's a lot of pressure, and like I said, I respect it. That's why I really mess with your videos.
Oh no, thankfully my content is usually somewhere between 10 and 15 minutes. So those times I've had to like take those 2 videos and then re-upload them for my own personal sense of accuracy's sake. Like it wasn't too much of a loss. Honestly, the biggest hit is like the view count. YouTube doesn't like it when you take down stuff and re-upload it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I will say that people still do try to correct me in the comment section, and most of the time, it's pronunciation. It's like, I can't believe you said this person's name like this. How did you research this much and get this wrong? I can't believe it. I'm sitting there going, buddy, look.
Guys, the point is that like you understand what he's trying to communicate, not necessarily getting everything
Yeah,
right.
you clearly understood who I was talking about, so...
You understood. It's not like I can say Yash Tola all I want, but you know who I'm talking about, right?
Exactly. And the funniest comments in some of these, like I've straight up just, I know this sounds mean, but I've straight up removed from the channel, is when some people try to correct me in the comments, and then I get like an entire dissertation's worth of headcanon and just personal like opinion on, well, this is why this happened, and this is why so-and-so did that, and I'm sitting here, and sometimes I read the whole thing going, how did you reach this conclusion? For real, I've gone back and read some of these things, and I like go through the books, and I've gone through some of the game files, and I asked myself, where did this misunderstanding come from? And it doesn't exist. They just, at some point, made the connection in their own head. Oh, this must be what they meant. And it was completely wrong. And so for the sake of making sure misinformation isn't spread like wildfire, if it's really bad, I've removed it from the channel. Though thankfully I can only count like on one hand how many times I've had to do that.
Okay.
Most of the time, though, people just like to talk about their personal take and see what others think. And I like that. I like to get a conversation going because that's the beauty of art as like a storytelling method. You can say one line of dialogue and like everyone can get something different from it.
Yeah. Do people like argue in your comment section sometimes about stuff?
I don't think they've like argued. They've definitely disagreed with each other, but okay. No one's ever like tugged my shoulder and been like, buddy, you're gonna have to take a look at this video comment section.
Right.
This is one time I made a video on like, it was just a satire thing about like, you tank, you pull. I wasn't saying anything about that you should, if you pull, you tank. I didn't say that. It was just like, I just found the whole interaction funny.
Uh-huh.
It was like for days. There was two people arguing for days.
They were
about
just going
the
back
tank.
and forth all the
Yeah.
time.
I was just like, come on, can you not do this right now? My notifications spammed on it, but
Yeah.
like people in the comment section, they just like need to relax sometimes. Like,
I mean, you could say that about the internet in itself. Everybody
Yeah, that's
likes to
true.
argue on the internet. That's what.
No,
Yeah.
exactly. And no matter how like negative or vitriolic some of the comments on my videos are,
Mhm.
like that's the internet. If you're going
Yeah.
to put yourself out there on YouTube,
Yeah.
TikTok, or Reddit or whatever, you got to expect that's going to come your way at some point.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
even though that happens, then I look at like the videos like approval ratings and like likes and dislikes ratios. And most of the time, I want to say like if I was to average all of my videos together, I'd say like all of them together have like a 98% positive reception.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that's good enough for me.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, I like. Oh, go ahead.
Oh,
Lips.
I was just gonna ask. Are you like are you constantly looking at your analytics? Is this something you just ignore? What's your approach on that?
I actually do try to follow the analytics because YouTube thankfully has a lot of numerics that we as content creators are able to follow, look at, and observe. And I feel like I would be foolish not to take advantage like of all of that.
Yeah.
Do I let it influence my direction with the channel? Not necessarily. I'm going to put out lore content regardless of how bad a video does.
Yeah.
But it will inform me what kind of lore videos people like more than others. That's
Okay.
why it's taken me so long to get around to the history of Gridania, like lore video, for instance. Like I've done Ul'dah, I've done Limsa. I haven't gotten to
That's
Gridania
true.
yet because those videos took like an entire week's worth of research, writing, rewriting, editing, and they did horribly.
Are you constantly going through New Game Plus or looking at old cutscenes, or how do you go about that?
Oh, I have never used New Game Plus.
Oh.
Most of
Ooh.
it is, like you said, going back through cutscenes, going back through just dialogue boxes and stuff like that. And a lot of it is, this might sound weird, it's just from memory.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's impressive.
So, like, whenever I try to get my facts straight on something like that, there are, like, other, like, lore YouTubers I'll even, like, fact check myself against sometimes. Like I'll send them a message like, hey, I'm putting this up on a video and I'm not 100% like sure on it, what do you think? And they're like, oh no, yeah, you're right. Or they'll say something like, well, X, Y, and Z wasn't officially confirmed, and I'm like, okay, then I'll just keep it more ambiguous.
Okay. Okay. So you mentioned you gonna make lore videos regardless. What was your what is your like your kind of like your goal? What do you like project? Like you just want to do it for fun, or you have like a specific goal in mind that you wanted to reach? Like,
Oh,
that
definitely.
makes sense.
Yeah. I do set goals for myself. I try to look at, I guess you could say like a game. I like to challenge myself to see like, okay, how many people can you entertain with this one? Or how many people can you entertain with that one? And stuff like that. And of course, not every video does well. And sometimes the videos that do well weren't even the ones I put my A game into.
That's
it
always
happens all
the
the
case.
time.
Happens all the
All the
time.
time. When you put like hours of effort into something, and you're like, yeah, man, I put so much work into it. Zero. But I'm just like, I put some BS on there when it's just like, it took me 5 minutes to make thousands.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly. You'll pour your blood, sweat, and tears into something, and it'll get only like a few views, and then meanwhile, the next day you fart something out, and oh well, now it's shared by thousands of people. That's just great.
Do you have a video that you were shocked or surprised that it got viral or blew up?
I don't think anything I've done has ever gone viral, but I
Mhm.
was very proud that the Dark Knight video eventually passed 100,000 views.
Yeah.
Mm.
How did that video come together, and what did you expect out of it?
That one, was that the first one that I think it might have been the first job video I ever did with Caddy Art, my artist, the one who does some of the title cards on my channel.
I was about to ask about that too.
Yeah, so I think it was the first official job video that her and I worked on together. So, because of that, and because I've played a lot of Dark Knight in 14, I put a lot of time, effort, and work into it. I'm not trying to say I didn't do that for all the other job videos.
Yeah.
It just felt like a special occasion because it was like felt like I was going on to the next level and stuff. So I'm like, okay, I have to really try with this one. So it feels good knowing that something I did give my A game to did so well.
Do you edit your own videos?
Yes.
Mm.
I do all my research, writing, editing, recording, all done by me. Caddy does some of the title cards and art you see on my channel, but other than that, it's all me.
Yeah.
So how does
Go ahead.
So how do you so do you like make the story first? Because a lot of your on the videos, it's like the art is like for the story. So you just tell her the story you're trying to tell inside the beginning of it, and then she just makes art for it, basically.
So what happens is that all of those stories are my, I guess you could say, original creations. I simply take what I understand about the world of Final Fantasy XIV, and I imagine to myself, would this exist in this world? And if the answer is yes, then I will try to draw a story around that, and then I present it to Caddy, and she comes back with a few pictures, and I'm like, yes, yes, no, yes, yes, and then we'll just go from there.
It's because it's all really good. Like it's like very like you like it's like you read it out of a book like yourself. Like you didn't even make it. Like I mean, of course you made it, but it's like where do you get this stuff from? It's like this is cool.
From my dumb brain.
Like the ninja one was like real cool. I like the ninja one. The warrior one was impactful to me, and the samurai one, and the Dark Knight one was like, whoa, that's cool. Like,
the next video I wanted to talk to you about was your spoiler video, because I think this is a topic that it's very I think the Final Fantasy community has an interesting take on spoilers, which
I have
me,
never seen a community so nuts on spoilers.
right?
everything's a goddamn spoiler, bro.
So
Everything's a spoiler.
I personally think that it's a little overblown.
Oh,
That
100%.
might be a hot take. Yeah.
No,
So,
I 100% agree with you on that.
Where did this video come from? Where did the idea come from, and why did you make it?
Well, I think at the time I was hearing a lot of people talk about like spoilers and the nature of spoilers. So of course, like, and I think some people were like even asking like, what do I judge as spoiler territory? And I'm like, you know what? Instead of answering all these questions individually, I will answer all of you at the same time. So I dedicated an entire video to that, just to kind of show where I personally stand when it comes to spoilers and why I may check off a video as a spoiler warning and why other videos I do not.
I will say
Okay.
when your intros, when you make spoiler warnings, they're pretty good. They're entertaining. Yeah.
Yeah.
This video is rated B for back the heck up.
You better back up, buddy.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
That's really cool. In your roundtable with other lore creators, you spoke about how you wanted to see character stories fleshed out like a Stanian story. Which character's lore do you think has the most potential?
Oh boy. That is tough. because we've been traveling with the Scions of the Seventh Dawn for a decade now.
Right.
There is like little to nothing left to mystery anymore than something that the writers simply want to decide is brand new. Like, for instance, out of nowhere in the next expansion, they could say, "Oh, Urian Jay's back, and he's brought his collection of butterflies with him." And it's like, "Oh, he's into butterflies. Oh, he's always been into butterflies. He just never decided to tell us until now." It's like,
sure.
Stuff like that. But honestly, when it comes to characters with the most potential, I think it's the Scion's B team that I'd want to see more of. And when I say Scion's B team, I mean like Hoary Boulder, his brother, and all those guys and gals that you've seen around the Rising Stones and stuff. But you never like do much with them aside from maybe go and talk to them now and then.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like we should definitely come up with like new people, but like you've been so attached to the original cast so long. I don't know if they could like really do that, but at the same time, it's good to have like a fresh take on things because it's supposed to be a new adventure and stuff. So
here's a question for you, Shiloh. 10 years from now, when we get to, I don't know, 14.0 or whatever expansion we get to,
I'll be 38.
how many of the current Scions of the Seventh Dawn, how many of them are going to be in that expansion at the end? Or do you think they're going to start killing characters off?
I don't think they're going to kill people off. I think they might write them out. They're never going to write your Stola out. Do that.
I will write it.
But what I do want to see, and I think Scribe, he mentioned that in one of his videos, is about Alphino and Alice and their age up.
Yes.
Because that growth spurt, I think you're the one who mentioned that, like a growth spurt. I'm not sure.
Elves and growth spurts are later than most races, but
do you see that happen?
Until we pop this time bubble, we're never going to see anything. Y'all understand that, right?
What is a time bubble? Can you explain it to the?
There's no really like, because the way it kind of is, it's like they don't put an actual time of like months, days, and years on anything.
Exactly,
because they want to make it so like if someone was playing from beginning to end in a month, it's not like 5 years or something, like 10 years like us.
Final Fantasy XIV is currently in what we would call a time bubble because ever since ARR's release date, no official passage of time has been acknowledged. Like, for instance, they acknowledge that 5 years have passed between the end of 1.0 to the beginning of 2.0. No mention of time passing has been mentioned since then. Now, of course, some of the characters during certain cutscenes will say like, "Oh, it took you a few days to travel here from here," yeah? But that's not consequential when we have no idea exactly how much time is happening between all these events.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know if the amount of time passing between 2.0 to Endwalker is a year, 5 years,
That's
a
lot
month.
In a year. I know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So until the time bubble pops, we have absolutely no clue not only how much time has passed, but how old all these characters should be. And I think Yoshi P even said they're afraid to pop that bubble because that would mean that they have to age up Alphino and Alice, which their marketing team probably doesn't want to because but for reasons.
Oh, well, yeah, I can see that.
Well, what reasons is it?
Number one, because the characters have been like identified and like gotten to be known as like these spunky little kids the entire time. So to get to know them as spunky like adolescents and spunky adults would be a bit jarring to some players. You would get some people that are like, I want my as weird as it sounds, some players would be like, no, I want them to stay kids.
Oh, I've been on Twitter.
No, yeah, trust me, I'm not touching that. personally, I want to pop the time bubble, but that's just me as a storyteller. I want to see this world grow, evolve, and change.
Yes.
And that means letting the kids grow up. That means letting these things happen.
Do you think it's also not just because of the NPCs, but also the player, technically?
Player as well. It also has to do with the Warrior of Light because, of course, you got a lot of players that say, like, no, my Warrior of Light isn't suddenly 40. They're forever young.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe, spoiler alert, maybe some other, like, you know, Medion style, like, villain trying to control time. And then that's when they pop the bubble.
Please, no, we don't need more time travel nonsense. Oh, God. Not only have we created multiple paradoxes, but we've used different types of time travel every single time.
It triggered him because I saw that video.
Oh, man. That's just personal bias. I hate time travel in stories.
Yeah, I think that's actually a pretty good
agree.
segue because I am interested in asking, from a narrative standpoint, are you more of a movie guy? Are you more of a TV show guy? Where do you stand on that debate?
Oh, I'm an everything kind of guy. I enjoy entertainment media, period. It doesn't matter if it's a great book, a great movie, TV show, or video game. Storytelling has been around since the dawn of humanity. Like back during the Unga Bunga days, we had cave drawings and we would shout stories at each other around a campfire.
Right.
I mean, and that has slowly evolved into like songs and plays, which evolved into books, which evolved into what we have now. And so I feel like I would be denying myself all sorts of like great stories if I limited myself to one genre.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you're right.
What did you what did you think of the last season of Game of Thrones?
I don't watch Game of Thrones, so I'm not sure.
Oh man, honestly I could rant about some of the choices coming out of Hollywood in like the past decade, but I won't. But no, and honestly, I tried to get into like that type of studio work out of college, and it didn't pan out. So I guess I feel like in a way I might have dodged a bullet.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you don't want to talk about what Disney's doing right now.
Oh, no. God. Everything's a hot button topic right now. So
It's
I
tough.
feel like kind of just doing my own thing over here on my own corner of the internet. That's just fine by me for now.
Okay.
So what was the reason as to why you wanted to get into YouTube and content creation in the first place?
Well, like I said, once I graduated from college, I wanted to get into studio work as either like a writer, editor, what have you, because that's steadily became my passion as I was going through college. Originally, I went in as a chemistry major, but that's an entire other story.
Yeah.
So I got into that, and of course, I wasn't able to get a job because I learned very early on, unless you already know people in that line of work, it's that kind of thing where, do you have 5 years work experience in this field already? And I'm sitting there going, of course I don't. And I'm like, oh, well, sorry. So, of course, I had to make ends meet by working other jobs in the meantime. And eventually it got to the point that I was a retail manager. And I was retail manager at a pharmacy during COVID, of all things.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
So
that must have been
eventually it got to the point that I was fed up. I was like, I'm angry, I'm miserable, I'm not doing what I want to do. I'm going to do what I want to do. So I just grabbed my stuff and like kind of looked over, and now I've been playing 14 up to that point. I've been a huge fan of the game for a while, and I realized we don't have like like you said, a Vati video or a My Name is Bife or Fudge My Bit for Final Fantasy 14. We don't have a big lore person, so I'm like, you know what? I'll try. I'll put my hat in the ring and see what happens. So I just picked up my books, started writing, applied everything I learned about entertainment and storytelling to my videos, and I like to think that it's some of what I learned in college has proven itself to be useful.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know you went to college for that. I mean, it's really well done. I mean,
Thank you.
It shows in your videos.
for sure. So now it makes more sense as to why it's like so good. It's like I said, you're well on your way. If like just make more things. The more you do it, the more ideas you're gonna get and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people ask me, "Oh, aren't you gonna get burnt out?" I'm like, "With what?"
Not if you like what you're doing, you can't get burnt out.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly. And this is my passion. This is always what I've wanted to do. And even though like it's for a YouTube channel, it's very small scale and just me and of course Caddy. It's still my passion, so I'm going to give it my all regardless. It doesn't matter if it's a small piece of work or highbrow studio work with $1 million budget. You might as well give it your all.
Yeah.
When did you jump into 14?
1.0 beta.
Oh, really?
Oh, you're OG then.
Oh yeah.
How? Walk us through that.
Are you sure you want me to walk you through 1.0?
Are you sure?
Like, what did you think of the game? Did you stick with it? I know the stories of how 1.0 went, and I want to hear yours.
Oh boy, strap in. All right. So when 1.0 first came out, on the beta at least, I was a huge fan of Final Fantasy 11, actually. I had played that for a while. And I'm like, really? Square Enix is releasing another Final Fantasy MMO?
Yeah.
And this time I can like be boots on the ground zero? Heck yeah, let's do it. So I got in on the beta, and of course I'm sitting there walking around like,
what is this?
there's it's pretty, I'll give him that, but what's this UI? Where am I going? And like exactly, like that was it. Like it looked pretty good and it had decent music, but everything else, the UI was bad, characters were written poorly, the story was all over the place, you didn't even know where you were going half the time, and if you chose the wrong city-state to start in for your profession, you were going to have to do a walkathon across the entirety of Eorzea to get where you needed to go.
Wow.
Oh, it was like that. It wasn't like
Oh, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah. So it was nasty, and you know how we have the market boards right now and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
There
was
was none.
Oh, well, there was a market, but imagine going into imagine you're in Ul'dah, right? And you have the lines of stalls with the NPCs all selling stuff.
Yeah.
Imagine those NPCs are players. And each player is selling their own shit.
What? Wow.
Now imagine dozens of these lines of stalls and having to go through every single player to find what you want.
No.
It was
They made it too immersive, I guess.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like they went too hard. They went way too hard. And like that was eventually I wasn't able to. I didn't stick around long enough to get the benefits of some of the I guess you would call them like veteran players or whatever.
Oh, the tattoo.
Yeah, that stuff. I didn't. I unsubbed like in my third month right before that. So I'm just like, no, I'm done. This is not only is this boring, none of my friends are playing it, and I'm just done.
Yeah.
So how
I heard.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I heard that like a plant has the same amount of polygons as a player character.
Oh, more in fact.
Oh, what?
Would you ever make a video about 1.0? Describe lore maybe?
Technically I have already.
Oh.
Did
Yeah.
you? Is there one where you go through the story of it?
Well, not, I haven't gone through the story, but I did talk about Nail von Darnus, the original villain of Final Fantasy XIV,
Yeah.
That's right.
and how Nail is actually pulling a Mulan, and it's actually a girl, and it's her brother. Her name is Eula. She's crazy as all hell.
Oh, interesting. I think actually I just saw that. I just see it on your page right now. I'll probably watch that later.
No, yeah.
What did you think of ARR?
ARR at first I almost didn't give it a chance.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this almost never happened because I was so burned by 1.0 that I was like, look, I was so hyped for another 14 Final Fantasy MMO, and it was absolute dog water. I am done. But then, like, ta-da, years later, here's ARR. And one of my friends was like, dude, you have to play Final Fantasy 14 again. It is so much better. Everything like looks good, feels good. It's amazing. You have to give this game a second chance. And I'm sitting there, and I was extremely skeptical at first. I was like, "Are you sure? Are you absolutely positive?" And eventually, I'm like, "Okay, you know what? Fine. But you are going to have to hold my hand through like the first like day because I'm not doing this stuff alone again."
Yeah.
But no, once I logged in and I saw how much better everything was and how much more fun everything had become, I was like, boom, I'm sold. I'm done. So, and ever since then, I've just been playing 14.
Yeah. What did you think of the story as a whole?
Of ARR?
Yeah.
Honestly, I know ARR gets a lot of flack for dragging its heels and stuff, but personally, I don't hold that against the writers. You have to remember, they were in a weird position. They had just taken over a game that was commercially one of Square Enix's biggest financial flops in a while. So I don't blame them or the writing team for essentially taking their time, testing the waters, trying a whole lot of other different things to try and grab an audience. So does it feel slow? Yes, and that's by design. They want you to stay or to explore the world. And the only way to do that is to do a lot of world building, to do a lot of things that engage you with the content. And that takes time.
Yeah, ARR was interesting for me because I never played any MMO. And the only real other Final Fantasy game that I ever played was 7 and Crisis Core. So when I went into ARR, it was different. You know, like I said, I've never played an MMO, and it took me a while to actually enjoy it, to enjoy myself, because I don't think it actually clicked for me until I was halfway into Heaven's Word. And I remember watching the Joe Cat video of so it took me 300 hours to like Final Fantasy 14, and I think I think they made a lot of good points in that video, because for me, I just felt that there was something missing. I just felt that the gameplay was a little bit, tedious, and it just never clicked for me until, like I said, halfway into Heaven's Word. So I wanted to ask you both, when did the game click for you?
I have to tell you exactly why. It was, for me, it was between, because I just love Final Fantasy. I didn't care about things being slow, because it was a turn-based game. So I was glad that I could play a Final Fantasy game that was kind of it wasn't like real-time action, but it was like, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So it was between Lightning's Returns and Final Fantasy 14. I was gonna buy Lightning's Returns first, but I got 14 because I was gonna play with some friends, but I didn't have a job or nothing, so I couldn't really get both. But I knew it was a subscription-based game, So I know I had 30 days to play the game. So I'll be real, I skipped all the cutscenes. I skipped all the
Yeah,
cutscenes
yeah.
because I just wanted to go and I just wanted to play the content. Because I didn't really think the story was going to be that great because I heard the story wasn't great from 1.0, and then I didn't really get into the story until the 2.x patches,
Oh.
and like when it was like Leviathan and everything, and then I went back and I was like, oh, I missed all this, and it's like this story is kind of all right, but actually no, scratch that. What really got me into the story was Coil, the
Coil's great.
the binding coils.
Yeah.
That is when I was like, yo, this is cool. This is from 1.0. Like, this is what the story is about. And then I went back. But yeah, did you do a video on Coil yet? I'm not sure.
I haven't. I planned on doing that after I finished all the dungeons for ARR.
Let's go.
Well, once I finish all the dungeons of ARR, I plan on doing, of course, the raids and stuff like that. And then, of course, I'll move on to Heaven's Word. But that, of course, has been a slow process. And for me, when it comes to clicking, it was immediately as I started playing 2.0. Because anything was better than 1.0 at that point.
I guess
So
so.
I'm just like, really? I'm comparing apples to oranges here.
Oh, yeah, if it makes sense, yeah.
No,
So,
yeah.
So what's the difference between your opinion on it back then and then when you compare it to the expansions now? Like, how do you feel about AR like right now versus back then?
Honestly, I still feel like the Yoshi P and his team were doing the best with what they had at the time. So again, I can't blame them for the choices they made and the avenues they chose. But if I was going to compare them now in hindsight, I feel like they've gone a bit too happy with the nerf hammer, if that makes sense. Because lately they've been going back through a lot of older content and even back to ARR and like nerfing a lot of the encounters and bosses to the point that some mechanics don't even pop up anymore. Yeah.
And that was actually my first experience because I got into 14 pretty late. I got into it after the Endwalker trailer came out, but before Endwalker came out. So my experience through ARR's dungeons and trials were just tank pulls everything, and I'm just trying to keep up with the party. And
You're a baby.
It was not. Yeah, it was not an enjoyable experience.
And honestly, it feels like wall-to-wall tank pulls and then tank and spank the boss is what most of the content in dungeons is now. But for instance, let's compare the current raids to ARR's raids, for example. In the current raids, not that I don't like the story, I love that I'm learning more about the 12. You have no idea how happy I am. But mechanically, think about the first raid series in that. You fight Bayergot, Ralger, Azima, and then Nulthal at the end. And for the most part, it's tank just tanks the boss, avoid AoEs, and do mechanics as required. Now compare that to Labyrinth of the Ancients back in ARR. When that was first released, the very first boss, the zombie dragon, demanded that the players cooperate on a level that you don't see anymore. In that fight, when the zombie dragon went down, skeletons would spawn, and then the people would have to kite the skeletons individually to different corners of the map so that they could be DPS down and it wouldn't wipe everyone. Nowadays, people can just tank and spank the zombie dragon and not worry about that mechanic. But back then, it was a guaranteed kill if you didn't do that. And you saw that throughout the entire dungeon. The first boss did that. The second boss with the Dullahan, you had to pay attention to like the magic pots and heal them. And then the third boss with Behemoth, you had to take care of the towers, bombs, and I think it was Magitech Knights as well. And then the third boss, like stand on the platform and erect the magic barrier or you die. So the entire raid was demanding that all 24 people work together to some capacity. But the only mechanic that does that in the new raid is like the last boss with Nobdal, where everyone has to essentially like balance the scales, and that's it.
That's true.
So the design philosophy, you can see the change in design philosophy from then to now. And I feel like we've lost something along the way? Yes, but I also understand they're trying to cater to a very casual demographic, and also consoles too. They've been doing a lot of changes and adjustments to satisfy the PlayStation players.
Yeah.
I feel like they should bring some of that stuff back with Criterion Dungeons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, oh, the Criterion Dungeon.
Yeah.
I was so disappointed that the hard version of the was it the variant dungeon, that it didn't have any sort of glam, it didn't have any sort of rewards to doing it. So they just need to do some of that stuff. I honestly didn't even touch it.
Honestly, you're not wrong. Now, don't get me wrong. I think the Criterion Dungeon was amazing for like lore fans like me, because I got an entire book of lore pages to play with when it comes to Ul'dah, so I was very happy there. But once I realized that the hard mode had no real rewards attached to it aside from some material, I'm sitting here going, well, what? How are you encouraging people to play this exactly?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they should do something with it, like maybe separate some stuff from Savage into there. But I don't know. But I have a very simple question for you.
Hey, what's up?
What's your main job?
Dark
and
Knight.
Why?
Dark Knight.
Dark Knight. And
Dark Knight mains. Let's go.
Yeah, Dark Knight mains, buddy. And the reason is very simple, actually. I have always, from the bottom of my heart, been a fan of spellsword characters in media. So anything that mixes melee and magic is an automatic A+ in my book.
So Dark Knight, Red Mage, Gunbreaker.
Exactly. So when ARR first came out, I was a Dragoon.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, yeah, Dragoon, Lances, that's a lot of fun. And then I ended up maining Summoner for a while to the end of ARR, because I'm like, okay, that's enough pokey, time to do some magic. Let's scratch the magic itch for a while. And this was back when they actually had dots. But
oh, yeah. They have all the dots.
So started Dragoon, went into Summoner, and then the big announcement that Dark Knight was going to be a thing in Heavensward. And then I saw the like trailer for like the mix of melee and magic. I'm like, yes. So when Heavensward dropped I marched into Ishgard, grabbed my Dark Knight Soul Crystal, went to Northern Thanalin,
and you farmed it,
and then I fate grinded up to level 50, then I continued the MSQ.
The nostalgia, bro. Fate grinding in Northern Thanalin. You brought me back. Yo, you brought me back. Because I remember that was a way to level back then.
It was the way to level back then.
Yeah, to just fate grind. And it's like, okay, I need a party invite.
I need a party invite, and then like I remember there was that one collection of 3 fates. Then that if someone pushed it, like half the people would start screaming and crying, like, I can't believe it, we were farming ads, you jerk! Blacklist this person, blacklist that, and I'm sitting here going, guys, it's just it'll pop back in another 10 minutes. Relax.
Oh my god, man.
Those were, you don't see those moments in 14 anymore, which is a shame, because I feel like those are the moments that really like makes an MMO's community like worth playing an MMO for, honestly.
Yeah. I wish there was more stuff in the world you can do. Like I like the hunt trains. People still do hunt trains, but like it was
very
different.
formulaic.
It's different now than back then, because it's like you kind of meet the same people, because you can only be in your server. You meet the same people, and then I made a lot of friends like doing hunt trains and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so
I will say I think for me personally, I really hope the overworld starts to get a little bit more interesting in terms of combat.
Yeah.
Give me an overworld dungeon. Give me like a cave that I could go into and find a chest at the end with like a cool looking weapon.
Yeah.
Something as simple as that can make a whole lot of difference.
Yeah, I don't know what they could do though, because the way that they designed it so far, like, it's kind of weird. Like, I personally, I just want something. I don't know if you've been to Balmung.
I have for research purposes. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Though there was a time where I transferred my server to Balmung just because I just liked going to Old Da and then just seeing a bunch of people there. And it's just lively, sort of like when I was on my other server and it was just empty and in the quicksands. I just like being like making it feel like an MMO where like it's just strange. It's like there's a housing crisis and there's like no one could get houses, but then when you go to the housing board, I don't see anybody.
And then you
the
left
housing.
Balmung because the floor was sticky all the time.
Yeah, mainly to play with friends, but
Every time you teleport into Ul'dah, immediately your first few steps is just. It's like, oh god,
what is this?
So
it only gets worse the closer you get to the Adventurers Guild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we would be doing a disservice to our watchers if I don't ask. How do you think this whole story is gonna wrap up with Gobez, Scribe?
Honestly, we're in a point where I don't know what's coming next, and I like that because usually I can like theorize, like if the story said like, oh, we're going to back to the Far East, for instance, I'd be able to say something like, okay, well, I know about all these places that we haven't been and what their history is, so though that might not be a surprise, but I was one of the people that was sitting there when like they were saying, oh, Warrior of Light, you should go back to your adventurer roots and all that good crap. And I was sitting there like, yes, let's go back to our adventurer roots. And then suddenly we're thrown into the void and it's another world-ending disaster. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, back to our adventurers roots.
Yeah, that's the thing. I feel like it was a little bit too soon for that.
Yeah.
It was too soon. But as far as Golbez is concerned, I would like for him to be the kind of villain that stands on his own 2 feet. I understand that this is, of course, taking heavy inspiration from Final Fantasy IV, and Golbez wasn't the big bad in that game.
Yeah,
he was ultimately being puppeted by the bigger bad. And, of course, a lot of people are saying, like, oh, that's what's going to happen here. Golbez is just going to be the front man for an even badder bad. And I'm like... That's too easy. I want Golbez to be his own villain with his own reasons.
Yeah.
Do you think Zero is going to make it to 7.0?
I sure hope so.
I sure hope not.
Oh.
What?
You don't want the hat tipping?
Oh my god. Her said she can go back to working at Hot Topic.
I saw a comment on Reddit a while ago about they were just theory crafting, and I wanted to get your take on this. So a guy wrote, Gobez's plan is to crash the moon into the planet to bring some semblance of ethereal balance to the 13. As a lore master yourself, what do you think about that? Is that too way? What do you think?
That's not happening.
How would that bring ethereal balance to the what? The moon crashing into the world?
Yep.
How would
the whole zone? We can't go and meet the Lapras no more.
On what grounds? Like what? I would love to hear this person's reasoning for that. I feel like there's an entire like take here I'm not getting because like so here's the thing. When Zodiark was slain, all the different pieces of him that were scattered between the different remaining shards also essentially disapparated and became part of their respective worlds, including the the Void, the 13th. Heck, we don't even know what happened to Zodiark's fragment there because the world had already succumbed to darkness.
Right.
And so what's going on the moon is weird, and at the moment, there's nothing for the moon to collide into. The world is more or less a husk of what it used to be. That's why when we go to the 13th, it's all just these floating islands of matter that don't make sense anymore, because Aether has more or less it's gone. Like the fundamental driving force of life and physics and matter is gone. That's why nothing there makes sense. So colliding the moon with the husk of a world, whoever you are, I would love to get to continue this conversation with you and figure out like how you got this.
That gives me an idea. Maybe I don't know if you ever thought about it, but like maybe have you ever thought about like going in like different communities or different like places and kind of like having this like like posts different like that, and then like
take.
Yeah.
Oh, my worst take?
Yeah.
Oh, my worst take is they never should have allowed single players to own houses in 14.
There it is. There it is, everybody.
There
it is.
I don't know. I mean,
they opened a can of worms that they can't close now.
The way that they did it, I don't agree with. I don't think they should have shared it with the FC. They should have made something different for them. But man, that's it. Like when they did it so soon too, it's just like, oh, next patch, okay, people could just buy houses.
No, yeah, that was an entire. I personally feel that was the entire reason we're having a housing crisis right now is because that was such a huge mistake that they didn't handle nearly fast enough, and that's why we're having a huge housing crisis.
Yeah, it's a 10-year housing crisis.
A 10-year housing crisis. That's my worst take. I honestly, whenever I hear a brand new FC join Final Fantasy 14, I'm really happy for them. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. You and all your friends started playing 14. That's great. But we can't get a house because all of them are taken in our server. And I'm like, oh, well, that sucks. And then I'll look at the housing list for that server and see like 70% of them are owned by single players. I'm like, oh, well, look at that.
Yep. That and like they made it like really cheap. And everything like that too. Like, I mean, back in the day, $2 million was a lot. Now it's just like nothing. Like
now it's nothing. And the thing that rustles my jimmies the hardest is when I see some single player buys a mansion, like a large plot, and then they do nothing with it.
It just leave it empty.
They just leave it empty. Maybe they'll throw a few things on the lawn just to, I don't know, insult us. But and then it's just empty the whole time. Those are the people I would not shed a tear if their accounts suddenly just evaporated.
Well, I want to thank you again, Scribe, for coming on to the show.
Oh yeah, of course.
This was really fun. I do want to ask, what's next for the lore master himself?
Even more lore content.
Yeah.
More, honestly, there's still so much. Even though it feels like I covered so much already, there's still a lot that I haven't, and it will definitely take time for me to get to. Yeah,
it's a pretty like genius kind of thing to talk about because they will never actually like run out of lore. They'll just keep making more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can always go deeper and deeper. But hey, before we go, you take a picture. I need a picture. I'll post it on Twitter.
Go to G-Post.
No, yeah, but thank you for having me. This has been like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I like I said at the beginning, I was shocked you even responded. So
of course. And honestly, this is a message to anyone. Never be afraid to ask, like, for the opinions or takes of large or content creators, even if you think they're big. The worst thing they can do is say no or not message back. Because then you wouldn't have moments like this. If you never messaged me, we wouldn't have been able to sit down and talk.
Yeah.
Sweet. Would you come back again?
Why not? Honestly, I didn't even notice an hour had passed.
Right?
Me neither, yeah. I was
there's still so much for us to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah.
If anything, after the MSQ drops, that would be.
Hey, maybe
love to talk to you about
Maybe did you watch State of the Realm? Do you watch State of the Realm, or did you watch it at all?
I know of it.
Did you I know when Ethis was on their channel, they did like a quiz, like a lore quiz.
Oh boy. That actually sounds delightful.
Right. We'll do a Jeopardy next time.
I would do terrible, but I want to do it still.
No, yeah. Get like Final Fantasy 14 fun facts, get Stout Helm, like get all the get the lore gang together.
Oh, okay, all right, okay. You gave it.
Great.
Let's write that down. Let's write that down.
You're the best, Scribe.
Yeah.
Oh,
You're mad cool, bro.
Yeah. I mean, do you want to plug your channel? Anything else you want to plug, and then we could just call it a day?
sure. I mean, if this is your first time hearing me or getting to know me, I am the Synodic Scribe. I am a writer, content creator, voice actor, whatever you want to call me. And I make lore videos currently for Final Fantasy 14. I eventually plan on expanding into other territories, maybe, if the channel takes off, like into the stratosphere. But for now, I'm very happy making lore content for the Final Fantasy 14 community on what I consider to be a great MMO world. So come on by my YouTube channel at Synodic Scribe, follow me on Twitter, Synodic Scribe, and yeah, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know why I don't follow.
Thank you for showing up. Thank you for everybody in the chat who was watching. All my 4 viewers, you are the best. And
We've had an audience? I didn't even know.
Oh, wait,
Hello, people.
wait, I do follow you. Okay.
Thank you again, and tune in next week for next week's episode.
All right.